Hello everybody and welcome to our YouTube channel. We are as always your hosts Arne and Carlos.
And today we are back with Q&As. Lots of people are sending us their questions, and we figured the Q&As is a great way for people to get to know us. So why not answer questions and maybe you'll get to know us a little bit better. Before we start though, Arne, I just wanted to remind people that we've got a little notifications button that can be turned on. And if you turn on your notifications, you will never miss a single episode of Arne and Carlos. Isn't that good?
That's good.
Yeah, so turn on your notifications now and never miss an episode. Okay, with that being said, let's start the questions. The first question, unfortunately, the name has fallen out. I can't find it, so I don't know who it's from, but I'm going to read the question anyway. Would you ever publish a calendar of your events, public appearances, conventions, knitting trips, cruises, etc. for a year or two ahead of time so overseas fans could make travel plans? I was so sorry to miss you in Boston and on the Norway cruise because I couldn't make plans in time. That's too bad.
That's bad, but 2 years ahead, that's
impossible
because we really don't know what happened in 2 years.
And even 1 year in advance is very difficult because our schedules are pretty complex and they're not settled this far in advance. When we go on a tour, the tour is usually announced 3 to 4 months in advance, which we actually think should be pretty okay for most people to make plans. And then, of course, if we have certain types of events that we already know, we do publish them. Since we opened our online shop, we have changed our blog quite a lot. And nowadays we post a blog post every Sunday, and we're publishing our calendar of events there with the events that we know. So for example, right now, at this time, we've got a cruise in Norway in March 2020, the Norwegian Coastal Express knitting under the Aurora Borealis. It's on the calendar. We've got the trip to Taos in October of 2019. That's on the calendar. We've got the Australian cruise that we're doing in 2020 in March. That's on the calendar. So there's a lot of things there already now, and this is new from before. So yes, we'll try to post
as
quickly as we can, but for a whole tour schedule, like if we go on an official tour for 2 months, for example, that will never be posted until 3 to 4 months in advance. And we hope that most people can find a way to make plans anyway. So I hope that answers your question, and I'm sorry that we can't be so accommodating with publishing so many years in advance, because we really don't know what we're going to be doing in 2 years. Maybe we get fed up with knitting and go and open an antique store. Never know.
You never know.
You never know.
What happened in 2 years.
Okay, so next question is from Helle Ullman Hansen. Which are your favorite knitting needles? What kind of needles do you prefer for different kinds of knitting and with different materials, metal, wood, circular, pointy, or blunt tips? Okay, so let's talk quickly about choosing needles for different kinds of projects. What are your thoughts, Arne?
I think actually we just grab what we find. So it's like now I think this is wood or something, and sometimes or bamboo. Sometimes
no, it's wood.
Yeah, and sometimes we can actually knit with maybe 2 in bamboo and 2 in metal, because it depends on what we have available.
Yeah, but then there are certain projects that we do choose a particular kind of needle. If we want something to be very tightly knit,
then we
say we're knitting on the round and we're gonna stuff it, say it's a bird or it's a doll, something like that, we will definitely choose metal to be sure that the tension is tighter than what it's supposed to be.
Because you don't want to see the stuffing through the thing you make.
Yeah.
So metal needle if you want to knit tighter.
Yeah.
And
wooden needles are comfortable to hold. So we like those, of course. There's the squared needle that we also like a lot. Prim has ergonomic needles that are really, really lovely to the touch. There's a lot of great needles out in the market. Bamboo is really nice. So right now we have a little preference for the prims because they are pretty awesome. But all needles have the right time for them to be used.
What I like with the prim is that they are white, so you can knit dark colors in the evening, and then I like the needles that has different colors. I don't know the brand name, but we have some of those. I think that like 3.5 is green. Because it's so easy to pick the right size when you have colors.
Yeah, and so choosing needles for different projects. If we are doing a sweater, we always knit on the round in Norway and stick if we are doing a cardigan. So we will choose a long circular needle for sweaters and a slightly shorter one for sleeves.
Yeah.
If we are doing hats, we could either do double-pointed needles or a small circular needle. We have a preference for double-pointed needles when we do socks. We do not like the magic loop. We hate the magic loop.
We tried it.
We don't like it. So we will never use a circular needle to knit socks. And also some people like doing 2 circular needles to knit on the round, for example, Christmas balls or even socks. And that's also something that we don't like. We like double points. So that's a little bit on our choices of needles, and it depends mainly on what we're doing, and sometimes we don't care.
And nothing is wrong, and nothing is right. Everything is fine.
Yeah. So we've got SW. The question is: I've tried making your X and O's hat, and cannot a noticeable jog. Okay, so and she's noticing a jog in the pattern at the join. How do you avoid jogs or steps in pattern knitting? Well, the answer to that one is really easy. We don't care about the jog.
That is kind of like what happens. Like if you basic normal knitting, you knit on the round and there's always
a jog. So
what
you do...
People normally don't care. I think that's kind of a new thing that people think about the jog.
So consider the jog as a seam. If you're wearing a shirt, the shirt is made of 2 front panels, a back panel, and some sleeves, right? You'll have a seam going down this way, you'll have a seam going down that way. I mean, it is the way it is. So if you're knitting a sweater, you're knitting on the round a sweater, when you are gonna put the sleeves in, put the jog on the side, and then the jog is gone, because you don't walk like this, you walk like this, right? So that works. If you're knitting a cardigan, Arne,
put the jog where the opening is and stick it.
And then the jog is gone.
But then you have to think about the balance of the pattern. So then you have to check that you have the center of the pattern in the middle of the back, so it looks nice, because you don't want to have a pattern that is off. But actually, we really don't.
We really don't care. And also for a hat, Arne, what do we do with the jog? Where do we put it?
Put it in the back.
In the back. I mean, some hats are actually knitted as a piece of fabric and then sewn. So there's a seam there. Put it on the back. Think of it as a seam and don't worry too much. I think sometimes people, they get caught up on these really small things, and then they get anxiety because they feel like they're not doing it the right way. Remember, there's no right way and there's no wrong way. Knitting is supposed to be enjoyable. You're supposed to sit down and have a great time doing it, and then the reward is you have a product in the end. And if there's a jog on that product, who cares? Nobody's going to be looking at your hat and saying, "Oh my God, there's a jog over there." So,
but I think that is a new thing.
Yeah, just relax, enjoy your knitting.
No one thought about that in the old days.
Yeah, and if people would start caring less about these little things, they would enjoy knitting more. So that's our advice. We don't care, and neither should you.
So just leave it.
I hope I'm not being rude here.
Well, then you will have a lot of messages.
Yeah.
Oh, Carlos, you're so rude.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, it's our channel.
Yeah.
We can say whatever.
So Dolores Kahl.
No.
Next. Yeah, I didn't hear it. What did you say?
No, I didn't say anything.
No, tell me what you said.
It's our channel. We can say whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I can't multitask. I was already reading a question when you said that. Okay, so Dolores Kahl has a question. She'd like a tour of our book collection. How do you organize? What's your favorite subject? Do you collect cookbooks? So
yeah, Carlos has a lot of cookbooks.
Yeah.
I've never seen them. Like, I haven't never opened them.
No.
I don't do cooking.
Yeah, my cookbooks are in the kitchen counter near my stove, so that if I need to look up a recipe, I can, they're in easy reach. So they're all in the kitchen. Yeah. We have a really large library of books, and we have a really nice library, bookshelf that we have made for our...
and we try to organize in knitting techniques or knitting books, and crocheting and embroidery and art.
But Arne, we don't have that many knitting books.
We have old knitting books.
Yes.
We hardly have any new books.
Yeah.
Because
we don't need them.
We don't like to look at new things.
No.
Because
all the books
for
that
us, the old stuff is more interesting because then you can find techniques and
yeah. So all the books that we have on knitting are old. We'd never buy new knitting books. We don't buy books from other designers. Sometimes we get as a gift a book from another designer and it goes in the shelf. That's fine. We usually don't look at them that much because we want to do our own thing. We don't want to be influenced by others, contemporary. Anyway, but what we do have a lot of is books on art, books on architecture, books on interior design. We have a lot of books on gardening, and Arne is a good reader as well. You read?
I read a lot of books, and we have like a lot of books I've never read. So now I'm reading when we travel because I find it so relaxing, and the travel goes quicker, especially when you're in airplanes.
Yeah.
So we have a guest house. So now when I pick a novel from the bookshelves in the main house and I read the book, it goes into the guest house. So now I know which book I read.
Yes.
And some of them I read before, but they're good, so I keep them. And if I read something and I didn't like it, I leave it in a hotel when we travel, so other people can take it.
I read as well, but Arne really is an avid reader. He'll read more than 2 books a month.
Yeah,
more. I mean, you read like 3-4 books a month, and then he recommends. He tells me which ones I should read and which ones are like okay. So and that's how I choose my books that I read. And I think the last one you read was the latest book from Murakami.
Yeah, the killing of the what's the name in English?
Well, it's Murakami's latest book, and I think you enjoyed that quite a lot.
That was really interesting, really fun.
Yeah,
and now I'm reading a Spanish one, Vindens.
Yeah, but it's a translation.
It's a translation.
Norwegian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get the Murakami book. Arne has it in Norwegian. I would prefer to read it in English, I think. Well, actually, no. Murakami is Japanese, so if I can read the book in the original language, I will. So an American author or a British author, of course, I'll read it in English. French, I can read French. I can read Spanish. But yeah, if now Murakami is Japanese, I could read your.
And now you read the what's his name? Bill Bryson.
Yeah, Home. I'm reading that
Very
one.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So yeah, that's a little bit about books.
We read a lot, and we have a lot of books.
Yeah.
When it comes to arts and crafts stuff, we buy old stuff.
Yeah. And our books are organized in their bookshelf, but we also have a lot of coffee table books because we have more books than we have bookshelves. So we have a lot of books stacked on tables everywhere.
Maybe we should do a video where we show like
our books,
favorite books.
Yeah.
We can share our favorite books with you. Could be nice.
Yeah. So we have Sylvie Nguyen. What are your thoughts regarding the origin of wool fibers, as well as where and how they're milled? I suppose, I mean, for wool fibers, welfare of animals is very important to us. So we would never support any cruel treatment of animals. We've been to Australia, we've been to Tasmania to see mulesing-free treatment of animals where they are well cared for. And usually the higher the quality of the yarn, the bigger the probability that the animals have been treated very well. I think the rule of thumb should be that the better you treat the animal, the higher the quality of the fiber. If the animal is in pain, if the animal is being treated in a miserable way, the fiber will not have high quality. It's like if you're a human being, if you get stressed, right? If you get stressed and you start pulling your hair, or you get stressed and the quality of your hair maybe will be deteriorating. It's the same with animals. So usually investing in high quality yarns will kind of sort of ensure animal welfare. Nowadays, yarn companies are also really good at putting the origin and whether there is something that you should know, like if it's mulesing free, as Australia has that problem. And there's a lot of non-mulesing yarn in Australia as well. You have Tasmania, where we have been, and we have seen 2 amazing farms where the merino sheep were treated wonderfully.
But I think that also, like in mass production or like for clothing and stuff, if you buy something with wool, it's really hard to know where it came from, because a lot of the wool they use in the production is bought in auctions. So you can't really know where it comes from.
From mass production.
Mass production. But for knitting yarn, I think it's easier to find.
Yeah, and luckily we work with Rowan and we work with Schahenmayer very closely, and with Regia. And so we know that the wools from Regia, Schahenmayer and Rowan are coming from ethical growers in the world.
Yarn we use.
Yes, also the Norwegian yarns we use. So we know that for a fact because we deal with the people working in these companies. So that you can at least be assured that these products are good. We endorse them. Okay, I don't know, do we have time for more, or are we going to just round up? I think maybe we'll round this off a little bit now.
We can round off.
Yes. So a few questions have been answered. Maybe you have learned a little bit more about us.
Yeah.
So Arne, what are we going to say now? You have to go through all the procedures now.
Procedures? Well, I can't do that.
Oh, come on, you can do it.
Okay, so if you like the episodes, thumbs up or thumb down if you don't like it. And
we don't care.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. And what are they subscribing to?
No, you have to say it.
The ever-growing Arne and Carlos family. We are a family of many subscribers, and we are looking forward to welcoming more of you into this loving family. So, on this note, what do we say now?
No, we say see you next time and have a nice week.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.